So today I am cleaning out the garden bed in our greenhouse and stringing up tomatoes and planting basil. So stick around and you'll see how we go about doing most all this. So I went through this morning and pulled out all the lettuce and all the weeds that was in this bed. We harvested 3 times. So it was done. I mean, we could have kept it. It was still pretty good. It's still pretty early in the year. We could have harvested it a few more times probably, but we have other lettuce that we actually harvested from it yesterday. We harvested out of this bed and another bed yesterday, and we just put in our 3rd crop of lettuce last evening. So we was done with lettuce, and our basil that's going in this bed is ready to be put in the ground. So what we use is tomato twine, and we buy this at our local greenhouse supply store. They have this. It's actually pretty cheap. This is 3 pounds of this twine. As you can see, it was $7.50. And it's 3 pounds of this is a lot. I've had this for probably 4 or 5 years, and still got enough in there to last me at least 4 or 5 more years. So the first thing is I pull the end out and I hook it. I just put a knot in it. Just a basic knot, nothing fancy. Just a loop and a knot. So then you take it and you hang it on, you hook it on one of your hangers for your hanging baskets, one of the hooks for it. After you put it on that hook, then you come down here and you check the length that you need. Right there is where it is to the ground. Right there at that spot, right where my fingers are. So then you just take where your fingers was and you grab the longer end and you let that end hold. You pull about an inch or so of it up. You loop it around and tie it the same exact way. And tie it to the loop too. Then you make sure you cut the right end. Then you cut the tail end off with a trusty pair of scissors. And then you grab a landscape stake. These are 6-inch stakes. We get those the same place we get the twine from. And you just push this in the ground right beside the tomato plant. Then you take your tomato and you just twist it around. Then you take your scissors and you cut off not all, but all of the lower foliage until your tomato plant looks pretty much naked all the way up to the top. Then you take this last sucker and you snap it off. This is a shorter one, but I've done all of them the same, and I'll continue to go out through there and do the rest of them just like that. Once we do that, I'm putting all of them in a bucket, and I'll show you what to do with these at the end. So I got all the tomatoes strung up, and when we get some of these plants out of the greenhouse, I'll have to rearrange some of them, because I got some of the strings, and I'm sure you can't see them in here. Some of them's running really crooked to get to a hook, so I'll have to rearrange some stuff when we get rid of some more of them hangers. But anyways, the tomatoes themselves, for the most part, all look really good. A few down on this end here, of course, that soil back here is really hard packed. And when I was pulling the weeds and the lettuce out this morning, it was still really hard to pull the weeds out. And the rest of it's pretty loose, pretty good tilth in the soil. This back here, and you can see the plants are suffering somewhat from that, and that's because it's a hard pack, and they don't get as much sun back in here as they do out through there. But you can tell where the soil changes texture just by the plants. And they all look really good. I mean, for 90% of these plants, it's extremely healthy. Some of them has some flowers on. That's the second time they grew them. The first time I pinched them all off. I never let my tomatoes set fruit on the first time it flowers after I put them in the ground, but never while they're still in the pot. So I have a bucket, a half a bucket with some cuttings off my tomato plants, and now I'm going to show you what I do with these. So what I do with these is I bring it out here to our rain collection system, one of our rain collection systems. And one of these days in the near future, I'll get you a video showing all that in detail. Right now, I'm just going to show you. I'll open the valve. Just let that bucket get some water in it. And as it's filling up, and this water's probably, actually it's not too bad. I wash my hands out here like this a fair bit too, actually. But I take these, and I really smash them. Break them up. Break all them. Try to break the membranes up. Make sure they. And what I'm doing, what this here is all about, is getting all the good out of these leaves. It's kind of like making a compost extract, but I'm making it for my tomatoes. And I just get it good, and you can see the green coming out of them. So now what we'll do is we'll let that set for a little bit. So what I'll do now is I'll let that set for about 20 minutes or so. And then I'll actually water my tomatoes with that. That works really good, fertilizer. A tomato knows exactly what a tomato needs. So everything that the tomato needs fertilizer-wise, minerals and all that is in the leaves of the tomatoes. So if you just throw those away, it's truly a waste. So I'll use them like this, and then what's left of it, then I'll just throw it in the compost. Let it finish rotting down, but there's a lot of good in them tomato leaves. And you can do it with comfrey, or you can do it with whatever. And you can actually do that with anything you are growing. If you got peppers and you prune them back, I don't prune my peppers, but cucumbers or whatever you prune, if you take the leaves and mash them up in water like that, let them set for a little bit, they're actually got everything in that leaf that the plant needs to grow properly. So that's what I'm going to do with that. It's water my tomatoes in the greenhouse with what I just cut off of them. So I strained it into a bucket, and then so it wouldn't get all the clumps in my watering pan. And I'm going to take them down here to this end where the plants are the worst looking, and I'll give them more of it than I do the rest of them. Only doing a 5-gallon bucket. I don't have enough to give everybody a good fertilize, but I do have enough to give the weaker looking plants the best fertilization. A little bit at the base of each plant. And you can see how green that is coming out of the spout. The other day when we got all that rain, we got 8.5 inches of rain in 24 hours. This bed right here probably had 2 inches of water in it, so there really isn't a whole lot of need to water. But I wanted to mix this up, for one, to show you all, and for two, these plants need a little bit of a boost, some of them. I'm going to go through and finish watering what I can with what I have. So what's in this tray here is mixture, fish emulsion, water mix. And before we plant, normally, not always, but before we plant, we always take our trays that our basil's in or whatever's in, and they got holes in the bottom, as you can see, and we stick them down in here and let them soak that up. Let it soak it up, and then now you see it dripping out of there, so you know you got a fair bit, not a lot, but a fair bit. You can always, if that don't suit you, you can always take these. Whoa, snag it together. You can always take these 4-packs out and stick them in there like that, and let them soak up that way. It seemed to me they weren't getting a lot up in them. And the bottom of these are cut holes in them as well. Got a little bit in them, but not like we should have got. Not like it should have been. And this fish emulsion does stink. As anybody that uses it knows, it's pretty nasty. Then you pick them up, and now you got a fair bit in there. You can definitely tell a difference in the weight. So that's 32, and this here's only 28 in this one, because we're missing one 4-pack, which whenever we decided how many we was going to plant, I'm sure we knew what it was. I would assume. I usually keep track of that kind of stuff pretty good. In between them two trays of basil, we used almost all of what I had in here. It was full. I'll just put it back in the bucket. So now I'm going to take these in and plant them. So to plant these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant straight in between two of my plants, right in between this plant here and this plant here, and one there and one there. So there'll be 2 in between each plant. I have 30 plants, so I need roughly 60, give or take 60 basils. So in order to plant them, so to plant them, what I'll do is I'll just grab this. These pop out pretty easy, and they definitely, as you can see, they are definitely ready to be planted. But they're still good and healthy. There ain't nothing wrong with them. And I'll just stick my hand down in there like that. Just plop it in the ground. And I'll go through and do this about 58 more times, and I'll have this bed made. So, as you can see, it's all in there. It actually looks really nice. I think so anyways, but, you know, since I'm the one to put it in, I would think that more than somebody else might. But I think this bed turned out really good. I do have some leftover onions that I didn't put out in the field. I didn't have room for them. So I may end up planting some of them in through here yet. I'm not 100% sure on that. One thing for sure, all these plants that are in here now grow straight up. Onions grow straight up. They don't bush out. None of this other stuff does. So there's room for that kind of thing in here. Probably what I'll end up with, putting them in. But I think all in all, it turned out really nice. I think it looks good. So I'm going to wrap this up here. If anybody has any questions or comments or wants a little more info on anything we just did or the varieties that we have growing, let us know. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.